Before the story unfolds, please comment where they are watching from and subscribe, because this journey connects cultures across the world. Aisha Al-Mansouri never planned to visit the Philippines. After months traveling through China and South Korea, she believed she had already seen Asia at its most advanced, disciplined, and impressive. Airports were efficient, streets orderly, systems precise. By the time her plane touched down in Manila, expectations were low and curiosity faint. Friends warned her it would feel chaotic, underdeveloped, and forgettable. Aisha believed them. Yet the moment she stepped outside, something unsettled her confidence. It was not the heat, the noise, or the crowds. It was the feeling that her assumptions were incomplete. The Philippines did not introduce itself loudly. It waited, and that quiet patience disturbed her more than any shock ever could. Aisha came from a structured life in the Gulf, where rules defined movement and reputation shaped behavior. Traveling through China reinforced her belief in order as strength. Korea deepened her respect for efficiency and innovation. The Philippines, she thought, would feel like an afterthought. Instead, nothing fit the template she carried. People smiled too easily. Conversations lingered too long. Strangers spoke as if familiarity required no permission. It felt disarming. Aisha mistook it for disorder at first. She kept mental notes, comparing everything unconsciously. Transportation lacked uniformity. Buildings mixed old and new without apology. Yet beneath the surface, interactions flowed smoothly. Things worked, just not loudly. That contradiction unsettled her more than broken systems would have. She realized she did not understand this place yet, and that realization bothered her deeply. Her guide, Miguel Santos, noticed her constant comparisons. He did not argue. He listened. Aisha spoke of megacities, bullet trains, and seamless digital systems. Miguel responded with stories instead. He spoke of families stretched across continents, of resilience learned through repetition, of laughter surviving inconvenience. Aisha assumed he was defending his country. Later, she realized he was explaining its philosophy. The Philippines did not optimize life. It absorbed it. That idea conflicted with everything she admired in China and Korea. Those countries mastered control. This one embraced adaptation. Aisha resisted the comparison at first. Control felt safer. Adaptation felt improvised. Yet the longer she stayed, the more she noticed how Filipinos navigated uncertainty with calm confidence. Problems did not provoke panic. They invited creativity. That mindset intrigued her, even as it unsettled her deeply. One evening, Aisha found herself sharing a meal with strangers who treated her like family. No one asked what she did for work. No one measured her worth. They asked where she came from and whether she was hungry. That simplicity confused her. In China, respect came from achievement. In Korea, from discipline. Here, it came from presence. Aisha struggled to categorize that. She wondered if it was naive or profound. Miguel said nothing. He allowed the country to speak for itself. Slowly, Aisha noticed something else. People remembered her name. Vendors recognized her face. Conversations resumed where they left off. In places she had spent weeks elsewhere, anonymity was expected. Here, memory was immediate. The Philippines did not treat visitors as temporary. It folded them in. That realization unsettled her sense of distance. Aisha had always valued independence. She traveled alone, made decisions quickly, and relied on efficiency. In the Philippines, efficiency was replaced by connection. Delays became conversations. Interruptions became invitations. At first, she felt frustrated. Then she felt seen. In China, crowds swallowed individuality. In Korea, precision demanded conformity. In the Philippines, imperfection made space for personality. That contrast lingered. Aisha found herself thinking less about schedules and more about people. That shift frightened her slightly. Control was comfortable. Vulnerability was not. Yet something about the Philippines softened her resistance. She could not explain it logically. She only felt it. and feeling without explanation challenged her worldview. Aisha visited areas far from tourist routes. She expected hardship. She found dignity. Homes were modest, but hospitality was abundant. Stories flowed freely, unfiltered by embarrassment. People spoke openly about struggles without shame. That honesty surprised her. In many places she visited before, hardship was hidden or reframed. Here, it was acknowledged and lived with. Miguel explained that survival had taught Filipinos flexibility, not despair. That perspective resonated unexpectedly. Aisha had grown up in abundance but pressure. Success was mandatory. Failure was silent. In the Philippines, failure was shared. Success was communal. That inversion unsettled her internal compass. As days passed, Aisha stopped recording comparisons in her journal. She wrote observations instead. She noticed laughter during power outages, calm during traffic, kindness without transaction. These moments contradicted everything she assumed progress looked like. She questioned whether development was always visible. China and Korea showcased achievement. The Philippines concealed strength in daily interactions. Aisha struggled to articulate this difference. It felt emotional rather than intellectual. She realized she had been trained to admire systems, not people. The Philippines reversed that training gently, without confrontation. That gentleness unsettled her more than criticism ever could. One afternoon, Aisha asked Miguel why Filipinos smiled so easily. He paused before answering. He said joy was not ignorance of hardship, but resistance to it. That idea lingered with her. In places she admired, strength was displayed through control. Here, strength was displayed through warmth. She wondered which was more sustainable. The question haunted her. The Philippines did not compete for her approval. It simply existed. That confidence without validation impressed her deeply. Aisha began questioning her own culture, not critically but curiously. She wondered what had been traded for efficiency, what had been sacrificed for order. She loved her home, but she saw it differently now. The Philippines did not replace her identity. It expanded it. That expansion felt uncomfortable and liberating at the same time. She realized travel was not about collecting places, but confronting assumptions. And this place confronted hers relentlessly. By the time her departure approached, Aisha felt unsettled in a way she could not explain. She had expected to leave the Philippines unimpressed. Instead, she felt unfinished. China and Korea impressed her mind. The Philippines disturbed her heart. She wondered if something was wrong with her expectations, not the country. That question followed her home. Below is the direct continuation from paragraph 11 to paragraph 30, maintaining exactly 150 words per paragraph, pure story, documentary tone, continuous fictional narrative, and consistent flow centered on Aisha Al-Mansouri. When Aisha returned to her hotel that night, sleep refused to come. Her mind replayed small moments that felt heavier than monuments or skylines. She thought about how strangers had offered help without expectation, how conversations unfolded without agendas, how laughter surfaced even when circumstances were imperfect. In China, progress felt engineered. In Korea, it felt disciplined. In the Philippines, it felt human. That realization unsettled her deeply. She questioned why warmth had surprised her, why kindness felt radical. The discomfort forced introspection. She realized she had been trained to associate value with output, speed, and order. Here, value was measured by presence and care. That difference challenged her assumptions about advancement. The Philippines did not ask to be compared. It simply existed with quiet confidence. That confidence lingered in her thoughts, refusing to be dismissed as coincidence or charm. The following days deepened Aisha's confusion in unexpected ways. She met professionals who spoke multiple languages yet chose modest lives. She encountered students with limited resources but expansive optimism. These contradictions resisted easy explanation. In other countries, success followed predictable patterns. Here, it appeared fragmented but sincere. Miguel explained that Filipinos learned early to adapt, not dominate. That adaptation became instinct. Aisha noticed how people navigated uncertainty with humor instead of fear. She wondered whether that resilience was learned or inherited. Her own upbringing emphasized stability above all else. Risk was minimized. Emotions were managed. In the Philippines, emotions flowed freely, yet chaos did not follow. That paradox fascinated her. She realized emotional openness did not weaken society. It strengthened bonds. That insight stayed with her, quietly reshaping her understanding of strength. Aisha found herself sharing personal stories she rarely voiced. She spoke about pressure, expectations, and the constant need to perform excellence. Instead of advice, she received understanding. No one tried to fix her feelings. They simply listened. That absence of judgment startled her. In places she admired, vulnerability often demanded explanation. Here, it was accepted without scrutiny. She began to understand why Filipinos abroad carried their warmth fiercely. It was not cultural decoration. It was survival. That realization reframed her view of migration. Filipinos did not leave because they lacked pride. They left because they carried responsibility. That responsibility shaped their empathy. Aisha recognized something uncomfortable. She had underestimated cultures that prioritized emotional intelligence over efficiency. The Philippines revealed that intelligence could be relational, not just technical. That awareness shifted something permanent within her. As her stay continued, Aisha noticed how quickly people accepted impermanence. Plans changed without resentment. Delays were absorbed without panic. She compared this to environments where deviation triggered stress. Here, flexibility replaced frustration. Miguel explained that unpredictability taught patience early. Life rarely followed straight lines. That acceptance created mental space. Aisha felt it within herself. Her anxiety softened. Control loosened. She began enjoying moments without measuring productivity. That felt dangerous and freeing. She wondered why she resisted slowing down. The Philippines did not demand she abandon ambition. It invited her to redefine it. Success did not disappear here. It transformed. It became collective instead of competitive. That idea challenged everything she had internalized. Yet it felt undeniably Aisha visited families who lived simply but dreamed expansively. Children spoke of futures without limitation, despite constraints. She saw ambition unburdened by fear. In countries she admired, ambition often carried anxiety. Here it carried hope. That contrast stayed with her. She asked herself whether prosperity always required pressure. The Philippines suggested otherwise. Joy existed alongside struggle without denial. That coexistence fascinated her. She realized she had equated seriousness with progress. Filipinos demonstrated seriousness through care instead. That lesson unsettled her hierarchy of values. She stopped asking whether the Philippines was advanced. She started asking advanced for what? Comfort? Output? Or humanity? The question reframed her entire jour. Aisha began to see the Philippines as a mirror rather than a destination. It reflected assumptions she had never challenged. Her travels through China and Korea taught her admiration. The Philippines taught her humility. She noticed how often she had dismissed warmth as inefficiency. That bias embarrassed her. Progress, she realized, could not be universally defined. Cultures optimized different priorities. The Philippines optimized connection. That optimization carried resilience unseen on charts. Aisha felt her worldview stretch uncomfortably. She welcomed the discomfort. Growth rarely arrived gently. The Philippines did not argue its worth. It allowed visitors to confront their own values. That approach was subtle and powerful. It left little room for arrogance. Aisha felt grateful for the confrontation. On her final days, Aisha felt reluctant to leave. Not because she wanted to stay permanently, but because departure felt premature. She sensed unresolved understanding. The Philippines had not been fully processed. Miguel noticed her hesitation. He smiled knowingly. He said some places stay with you because they reveal something you were avoiding. That statement lingered. Aisha realized she had been avoiding slowness, vulnerability, and emotional exposure. The Philippines offered all three without apology. That offering felt generous. She wondered why generosity unsettled her. The answer was uncomfortable. She had learned to guard herself constantly. Here, she felt safe enough to lower defenses. That safety was rare. She carried it with her silently. Returning home, Aisha struggled to articulate her experience. Friends expected stories of chaos or inefficiency. She offered none. She spoke instead about people. About warmth. About feeling known without effort. Some listened. Others dismissed it as sentimentality. She did not argue. She understood now that some truths resisted explanation. The Philippines had altered her internal compass. Efficiency still mattered. Order still mattered. But they no longer ranked above empathy. That reordering surprised her. She found herself questioning decisions she once made automatically. She slowed conversations. She listened longer. She smiled more freely. People noticed. They asked what changed. She mentioned the Philippines briefly. But the change ran deeper than geography. Aisha realized the trip disrupted her belief in linear progress. Development was not a ladder. It was a landscape. Different cultures climbed different hills. The Philippines climbed connection. China climbed scale. Korea climbed precision. None were wrong. But she had valued only one. That realization humbled her. She saw how easy it was to mistake familiarity for superiority. The Philippines exposed that bias without confrontation. That gentleness made the lesson lasting. She no longer asked if the Philippines was real. She asked why she doubted its reality in the first place. The question lingered, reshaping her curiosity. Months later, Aisha still referenced the Philippines when reflecting on life choices. She noticed how often warmth solved problems faster than control. She practiced patience learned unconsciously. The trip had not faded. It integrated. She understood now why the Philippines surprised her. It challenged definitions she never questioned. It revealed strength where she expected weakness. It offered depth where she anticipated simplicity. That contradiction became clarity. The Philippines was not trying to impress. It was inviting understanding. That invitation changed her. Aisha began speaking about the Philippines differently. Not as a destination, but as a lesson. She shared how assumptions distort perception. How humility unlocks insight. How humanity resists measurement. Her perspective surprised listeners. Some leaned in. Others resisted. She accepted both reactions calmly. The Philippines had taught her acceptance without insistence. She embodied that quietly. The country lived within her now, shaping responses, softening judgments. That internal shift mattered more than memories. She carried it forward intentional. Why? Aisha slowly understood that travel had never been about collecting destinations. It was about confronting assumptions carried quietly for years. The Philippines forced that confrontation without hostility. It did not argue with her worldview. It simply existed beside it, exposing gaps she never questioned. She began asking herself uncomfortable questions. Why did efficiency matter more than empathy? Why was order valued above belonging? Why did warmth feel unprofessional? These questions followed her into daily life. She noticed how often people mistook emotional distance for strength. The Philippines offered a different model. Strength appeared in patience, humor, and generosity. That model unsettled her because it required vulnerability. She did not abandon structure or ambition. She recalibrated them. Balance replaced rigidity. Growth felt less exhausting. The Philippines had not changed her direction. It changed how she walked forward. That distinction mattered more than she expected. Aisha's relationships began shifting in subtle ways. She listened longer without preparing responses. She allowed conversations to unfold naturally instead of steering them efficiently. Silence no longer felt awkward. It felt informative. People noticed the change before she named it. They felt more understood. She traced this shift back to evenings in the Philippines where conversations wandered freely without purpose. That wandering created trust. She realized how often modern life rushed past understanding in pursuit of clarity. The Philippines taught her that clarity sometimes emerged from patience. That lesson reshaped how she approached conflict, collaboration, and care. She no longer measured interactions by outcomes alone. She valued process. That change improved connections without sacrificing productivity. It deepened them. The Philippines had quietly taught her that progress did not require emotional shortcuts. It required presence. That presence altered everything. Aisha stopped chasing constant optimization. She allowed inefficiency when it nurtured connection. This choice felt radical in environments obsessed with speed. Yet nothing collapsed. Work continued. Goals were met. But something expanded alongside productivity. Meaning. She felt less fragmented. The Philippines had reframed her understanding of value. It revealed that systems existed to serve people, not replace them. That realization challenged habits she once defended fiercely. She no longer apologized for slowing down conversations or prioritizing people over process. The Philippines had shown her that humanity scaled differently. It multiplied through relationships, not metrics. That insight lingered. She carried it carefully, aware it contradicted dominant narratives. Yet it felt undeniable. The Philippines did not reject progress. It humanized it. That humanization stayed with her long after departure. What shocked Aisha most was not what the Philippines lacked, but what it preserved. Emotional openness. Humor under pressure. Community without transaction. These qualities often disappeared under modernization elsewhere. In the Philippines, they endured. That endurance impressed her more than infrastructure ever could. She realized development often demanded trade-offs. This country resisted certain ones deliberately. It chose connection over efficiency when forced to decide. That choice carried consequences, but also resilience. Aisha respected that clarity. The Philippines did not pretend to be something else. It accepted complexity without apology. That honesty resonated deeply. She wondered how many cultures sacrifice themselves chasing external validation. The Philippines refused that chase. It remained itself. That authenticity unsettled her assumptions about progress and success. It challenged her to reconsider what was truly worth protecting. Aisha no longer asked whether the Philippines was real. She asked why so many people overlooked its depth. The answer felt uncomfortable. Visibility was often mistaken for value. Loud systems overshadowed quiet strengths. The Philippines did not advertise its resilience. It lived it daily. That realization humbled her. She recognized how easily she equated modernity with superiority. The Philippines dismantled that equation without confrontation. It showed her that strength could be soft, flexible, and relational. That insight stayed with her. She carried it into future travels, future conversations, future judgments. She became slower to compare and quicker to observe. The Philippines taught her that understanding required humility. That humility felt grounding. It allowed curiosity to replace certainty. She welcomed that shift willingly. Aisha carried the Philippines forward intentionally. She adjusted how she evaluated cultures, choices, and even success. Hierarchies dissolved. Curiosity replaced ranking. She listened more than she judged. That shift enriched her worldview permanently. She no longer traveled to confirm beliefs. She traveled to challenge them. The Philippines became her reference point for resilience rooted in connection. It reminded her that systems mattered, but people mattered more. That reminder influenced her decisions quietly. She measured success differently. She valued sustainability over spectacle. That recalibration felt healthy. It aligned ambition with humanity. The Philippines had not offered answers. It offered perspective. That perspective endured. The memory of the Philippines matured rather than faded. It surfaced unexpectedly during moments of stress or uncertainty. She recalled laughter during inconvenience, calm amid unpredictability. These memories guided her responses. She handled disruption with patience instead of frustration. She recognized fear earlier and softened it. The Philippines had taught her emotional literacy through observation, not instruction. That lesson proved durable. It integrated seamlessly into her life. She did not need to revisit to remember. It lived within her. That permanence surprised her. Many trips faded into anecdotes. This one transformed behavior. The Philippines became less a place she visited and more a lens she carried. That distinction mattered profoundly. When asked about her travels, Aisha paused longer before answering. She understood now that surprise revealed ignorance, not deficiency. The Philippines surprised her because she underestimated it. That realization humbled her. She no longer framed experiences as shocking. She framed them as revealing. The Philippines revealed assumptions she never interrogated. It exposed blind spots shaped by admiration for order and efficiency. That exposure felt necessary. It refined her curiosity. She became gentler in evaluation. She sought understanding before conclusion. The Philippines had taught her that depth often hid beneath modest presentation. That lesson stayed relevant. It reshaped how she approached unfamiliar cultures and unfamiliar ideas. She welcomed the Chong. In the end, the truth clarified itself quietly. The Philippines was never unreal. The misunderstanding belonged to her expectations. The journey did not expose a country. It exposed assumptions. That exposure changed everything. Aisha returned home altered, not confused. Her worldview expanded rather than collapsed. She carried efficiency, discipline, and structure forward. But she carried warmth, patience, and humility alongside them. The Philippines had not demanded admiration. It invited reflection. That invitation proved transformative. She accepted it fully. And in doing so, she understood that the most meaningful journeys were not measured by distance traveled, but by beliefs questioned. The Philippines had asked the right questions. She was finally ready to answer them.